All right, today we're going to dig into the very blueprint of our own lives. We're going to explore those powerful and often invisible internal stories and beliefs that really dictate our resilience, our actions, and ultimately our results. So let's just start with a huge question. You know how we tend to credit our successes to hard work, but we blame our failures on bad luck or things just being unfair? But what if there's a deeper force at play here? What if the real driver isn't what happens to us? What if it's really all about the story you tell yourself, about who's actually in the driver's seat of your life? This one choice, this fundamental belief, well, it's the architect of your entire mindset. It is the foundation that everything else gets built on. So today, we are going to build a powerful new mental model for resilience. And we're going to use 4 key psychological concepts as our building blocks: locus of control, explanatory styles, the trap of learned helplessness, and the incredible power of self-efficacy. Okay, first things first, we've got to lay the foundation. And it all starts with this concept called locus of control, which is really just about where you believe the power in your life truly comes from. So what in the world is locus of control? Well, to put it simply, it's your personal answer to the question, who's in charge here? Is it you or is it the world around you? And believe me, that one answer shapes pretty much everything. This belief really branches off into 2 main paths. On one side, you've got an internal locus of control. That's the conviction that my actions matter, that what you do is directly connected to what you get. And then on the other side, you've got an external locus of control. The belief that life is basically just something that happens to you, all dictated by luck or fate or what other people decide. And this is where you start to see the real power of having an internal locus. When you truly believe you're in control, you start to develop these incredibly powerful traits. You become more of a problem solver, right? Because you believe solutions are actually within your reach. You become more resilient because a setback isn't some final verdict, it's just feedback. And this resilience, well, that's what separates getting stuck from finding success in our careers, our health, our relationships, you name it. Now, this is so important. Adopting an internal locus isn't about blaming yourself for every single bad thing that happens. Unfair things happen, period. This is all about focusing on agency, recognizing what parts of any situation, no matter how small, you can actually influence. It's about shifting your question from whose fault is this to, okay, what can I do about this? Okay, so let's look at how this foundation can either build us up or, well, break us down. We're going to explore the mental traps that get created when we lean too heavily on that external viewpoint, starting with what's called our explanatory styles. Think of your explanatory style as your brain's default storyteller. After anything happens, good or bad, you tell yourself a story to make sense of it. And that story, that internal explanation, it is incredibly important. It determines whether a setback becomes a lesson or a permanent scar. Let's use a really clear example, failing a test. The unhealthy style, the trap, takes this failure and makes it really destructive. It makes it personal. I'm just bad at math. It makes it permanent. This always happens to me. And it makes it pervasive. I'm just not smart. See how that works? But the healthy style, it does the opposite. It zeroes in on controllable actions. It reframes the whole thing as a specific, temporary problem that has a strategic solution. And here's the thing. When we live inside that unhealthy explanatory style for too long, something pretty dangerous starts to happen. After we go through setback after setback that we believe are completely out of our control, we can fall into a state of learned helplessness. This is the sound of learned helplessness. It's that voice of just giving up. It's when a person stops even trying to find solutions, even when good options are right there in front of them, simply because they've learned to believe that nothing they do will ever matter. It's a trap, and it just suffocates motivation and resilience. But, and this is a big but, here's the good news. Just as helplessness can be learned, it can be unlearned. And the #1 tool for rebuilding our sense of agency from the ground up is something called self-efficacy. Now, self-efficacy isn't just some vague optimism or puffing your chest out with confidence. Nope. It's a very specific, grounded belief in your own ability to pull off the actions needed to solve a particular problem. It's that quiet, powerful inner voice that says, you know, I might not have the answer right now, but I can figure this out. So how do we actually build it? Well, you do it through action. You start treating problems like a scientist. First, you get super clear on what the challenge actually is. Then you brainstorm a bunch of potential strategies. Then you go out and you test them. You review the results, what worked, what didn't, without judging yourself. And then You use all that data to plan your next move. It's not about winning on the first try. It's about just getting in the game. Okay, so let's put all these pieces together now. Locus of control, explanatory style, learned helplessness, and self-efficacy. They aren't just separate ideas. They're all part of a dynamic, interconnected system, a really powerful feedback loop that can either spiral us down or lift us way up. This whole thing, this engine of resilience, it all starts right here with your core belief about control, your locus of control. It's that simple question. Do you believe you have agency or not? Because that belief is the fuel for your actions. If you believe your efforts matter, you're so much more likely to actually engage with a problem instead of just giving into it. And when you take action, you start to gather data. You generate real-world evidence of what you're capable of. Every single attempt, whether it's a success or a failure, gives you valuable feedback. It proves you're an active player, not just a bystander in your own life. And here it is. This is where the loop closes and the magic happens. That evidence of your own competence feeds right back and strengthens your original belief. It builds your self-efficacy, which reinforces your internal locus of control, which makes you even more likely to take action the next time. This is the virtuous cycle of resilience. So you see, this is way more than just an interesting psychological theory. It is a practical, usable blueprint for navigating pretty much any challenge life throws at you. So let's talk about how to put it to work, like starting today. So the next time you hit a wall, and you will, I want you to just pause. Instead of just reacting, I want you to ask yourself these 3 simple questions. First, what part of this can I actually influence? Second, is this situation permanent or is it temporary? And third, what is one small strategy I can try right now? These questions are designed to shift you from a feeling of helplessness into action. And really, this is what it all comes down to. Life is always going to throw things at us that are completely beyond our control. The goal isn't to pretend that's not true. The goal is to adopt this mindset, to relentlessly focus your energy and your effort on the things you can shape. Because that belief and the actions that follow it, that will change everything.